Hello, friends. I hope you all are fine. And today I am here to discuss with you the topic mechanism of labor, which is very much important topic from the examination point of view. So, first of all, what is mechanism? So, here is the definition. It is the series of movements, means lot of movements that takes place on the head and the trunk of the fetus in the process of adaptation during its journey through the pelvis. Means there are lot of movements or there are lot of changes in the position of the head and the trunk so that it can easily pass through the bony structure which is known as pelvis. So after the definition of mechanism of labor, now I'm going to discuss that how the fetus is normally situated inside the uterine cavity. So there are 6 points under this. Its lie, that is the normal lie of the fetus is longitudinal. You can see in the diagram. This is a normal lie of the fetus, that is longitudinal. There are other lies too, like transverse lie, when the baby lies like this inside the uterine cavity, then it is a transverse lie. Or when the baby lies like this inside the uterine cavity, then it is the oblique lie. But the normal lie is longitudinal lie. Next one is presentation. So the normal presentation of the fetus is cephalic. So there are other presentations too, like breech presentation, patelic presentation, but the cephalic presentation is normal one. Next is position. So the normal position is right occiput interior and the left occiput interior. So here is a diagram of position. These are the normal position. So it is clear from the name that when the occiput of the fetal head is lie in relation to the iliopubic eminence of the left side anteriorly, that is known as left occiput interior, while on the other hand side when the occiput of the fetal head lie in relation to the iliopubic eminence at the right side of the pelvis anteriorly, that is known as right occiput anterior. So there are other positions too which are considered as abnormal, like in this diagram you can see this is a right occiput interior and left occiput interior, which is normal one, and at the back side of the pelvis there is right occiput posterior and left occiput posterior when the occiput lies like this, means when the occiput lie posteriorly. So these are abnormal positions. So next is attitude. Attitude is well flexed. So attitude will be well flexed during the vertex presentation only. So what is attitude? When the fetus lie like this, that it can occupy a less space inside the uterine cavity, then only the attitude is well flexed. Like here in the diagram, in the vertex presentation the attitude is well flexed, means the fetus is occupying less space inside the uterine cavity. So it is normal attitude. So while in case of pro presentation the attitude is partially deflexed, and in case of face presentation the attitude is deflexed, means it is completely deflexed. Next is denominator, which is occiput. So what is the meaning of denominator here? So the first part of the fetal head that touches the pelvic floor, okay, the part which first touches the pelvic floor, that is occiput. Next is presenting part. So the normal presenting part is vertex. Like in this diagram, the lie is longitudinal, attitude is well flexed, presenting part is vertex. Means, are you clear about the terms vertex, brow and face? So vertex is the posterior part of the fetal head. So this is called as the normal position, or the fetus is normally situated like this inside the uterine cavity. So next we will discuss about the main movements under the mechanism of labor. So step 1 is engagement of head. Next one is descent. which is continuous throughout the labor. And step 3 is flexion of head. So here I want to clear two words. First one is flexion and extension. So flexion means decreasing the angle between two parts. Decrease angle between two parts, while in case of extension there is a increase the angle between the two parts. Like in the case of fetus, when there is a flexion, the head is like this. But while in the case of extension, like in the face presentation, so the example of flexion is vertex presentation and the example of extension is face presentation. So after this, the step 4 is internal rotation of head. Step 5 is crowning. 6th one is extension and the birth of head. 7th one is restitution. And 8th one is internal rotation of shoulders and external rotation of head. Step 9 and the last one is birth of the shoulders and the trunk by the lateral flexion. So now we will discuss each and every step in detail. So the first step is engagement of head. So what is engagement? When the fetal head enters into the pelvic brim, that is known as engagement. Like in this diagram, this is a pelvic brim. You can see the mark of red pen. This is a pelvic brim. So when the fetal head enters into pelvic brim, that is known as engagement. And the vertex of the fetus head is lie in relation to the iliopubic or iliopectineal eminence. So iliopubic eminence is also known as iliopectineal eminence. So where the ilium and the pubic bone joins, that is known as iliopubic or iliopectineal eminence. Okay, so here I written that point, that in left occipito-inferior, this is common one, or in case of right occipito-inferior, the occiput lies in relation to the iliopubic eminence or iliopectineal eminence. So you can write in points in the examination. So engaging anterior posterior diameter, like when the head enters into the pelvic brim, its engaging diameter, its engaging anterior posterior diameter is suboccipitofrontal, which is 10 centimeter, and engaging transverse diameter is biparietal, means the diameter between the two parietal bone, that is 9.5 centimeters. So here I draw the rough diagram. So suboccipitofrontal firstly. So the suboccipitofrontal we measure from the below the occiput till the middle of the forehead. That is known as suboccipitofrontal, that is 10 centimeter. And another term suboccipitobregmatic, which is used in the future, like in the flexion. So the suboccipitobregmatic we measure from the mid of the bregma. Bregma is also known as anterior fontanel, till below the occipital bone where it joins the neck. So that is 9.5 centimeter. So the next one is biparietal. So these are two parietal bones between which this is a sagittal suture. So the diameter between the two parietal bone is biparietal diameter, which is 9.5 centimeters. I hope you're clear with these terms: suboccipitofrontal, biparietal, and suboccipitobregmatic, which is used in future. So in the engagement of head, when the fetal head enters into the pelvic brim, that is known as engagement, and the normal position is left occipito anterior, in which the occiput lies in relation to the iliopubic eminence or iliopectineal eminence, and the engaging anterior posterior diameter is suboccipitofrontal, that is 10 centimeter, and the engaging transverse diameter is biparietal, that is 9.5 centimeter. Like in this diagram, for example, the head is at the, this is a head which is lie in relation to, here is iliopubic eminence. So at the this is a sinciput, this is occiput, this is sinciput, means the forehead part, that is known as sinciput, which lies in relation to the, at the back portion or at the posterior, it is sacroiliac joint. So the sinciput lie in relation to the sacroiliac joint in the left occiput anterior. When there is engagement of head, the occiput lie in relation to the iliopubic eminence, and the sinciput lie in relation to the sacroiliac joint, means the joint which is formed between the sacrum and the ilium, that is known as sacroiliac joint. So here I write that point in the left occipito anterior, the sinciput lies in relation to the sacroiliac joint at the right side of the pelvis, and it is opposite in the case of right occipito anterior, the sinciput lie in relation to the left sacroiliac joint. So next step is descent. So descent is the downward movement of the fetus which occurs due to the uterine contractions plus bear down efforts by the mother. As I already explained the bear down efforts in the second stage of labor in detail, and descent is a continuous process throughout the labor. So the next step is flexion of head. The term flexion I already discussed, when the angle between the two body parts is decreases. For example, this is flexion, this is extension. So due to the descent, due to the continuous descent, due to uterine contraction and bear down efforts, when there is, means due to the constant efforts, due to the uterine contraction and bear down efforts, the baby is continuously pushed downward. But when there is no space here, means when the pelvic floor puts resistance, when there is no space here so that the baby's head moves downward, so when there is no space available, the head start flexing. Okay, so this is unflexed. When there is a continuous push from the upper portion, then it leads to flexion. So here the head moves towards the chest, so there is a flexion of head. So due to the flexion of head, the suboccipitofrontal diameter changes into suboccipitopragmatic, that is 9.5 centimeter. So here the diameter is suboccipitofrontal, that is 10 centimeter. Due to flexion, it changes into suboccipitopragmatic, so that it can easily pass through the pelvis. So the next step after the flexion of head is internal rotation of head. So when this is a pelvic brim, so when the head is placed in an oblique position like this, so then there is an internal rotation of the head, that is the occiput of the fetus rotates 1/8 of the circle. As you can see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is sacral promontory. This is sacral promontory. This is symphysis pubis. So from here I start the counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the whole pelvic brim is divided into 8. So if the baby's head is lie in the oblique position like this, then the head is move 1/8 of the circle, and the occiput comes behind the symphysis pubis. So if the head lies in transverse position like this, then the head of the fetus should move 2/8 of the circle. 1 plus 1, 2. So after there is an internal rotation, the occiput of the head lies behind the symphysis pubis. Like this, the head, that is the occiput, lies behind the symphysis pubis, while the other body is lie in the same. So in the case of transverse position of a head, the trunk is just moved 1/8 of the circle. Like the head is moved 2/8 of the circle, the occiput comes behind the symphysis pubis, while the shoulders or the trunk moves 1/8 of the circle. Okay, so the body lies in the oblique lie, while the occiput comes behind the symphysis pubis. It leads to torsion in the neck. So it leads to torsion in the neck. The meaning of torsion is twisting in the neck. After the internal rotation, the next step is crowning. So in the crowning, with the further descent, means with the further downward movement of the fetus, the biparietal diameter of fetal head, that we already discussed, that it is a transverse diameter. So the biparietal diameter of the fetal head, that is 9.5 centimeter, stretches the vulval outlet. You can see here. So with the further descent, when the head of the fetus is visible, like the hairs visible, so the biparietal, that is the transverse diameter of the fetal head, stretches the vulval outlet. So here the hairs of the fetus visible from outside. So even when the contractions passes off, the head does not resides back, means the head does not passes back even when the contractions stops or the contraction passes. So in the crowning, with the further descent, the biparietal diameter stretches the vulval outlet. So that is known as crowning. I written the next point, that is, in this the fetus not moves back, that is, it not resides back even when the contractions passes. So the next step after the crowning is extension and the birth of the head. So the delivery of the head is takes place by the extension. So the term extension I already explained. It is opposite to the flexion. When the angle between the two parts of the body is increased, that is known as extension. So through couple of force theory, so delivery of the head takes place by extension through couple of force theory. So according to the couple of force theory, like you can here see in the diagram, due to the uterine contractions and the bear down efforts, the baby is pushed downward. On the other hand side, the pelvic floor offers resistance and applies upward force and the forward force. So the downward and the upward force is cancelled or neutralizes, and the remain is forward thrust or forward force. So due to the forward force applied by the pelvic floor, the head of the baby is born with extension. So when the force is applied by the pelvic floor here, and it pushes the baby like this. So with the help of extension, firstly which part of the head is born? Firstly vertex, then brow, and then face, like this. So the vertex, then brow, and then face, and there is a birth of head due to extension. So after the extension, the next step is restitution. When the baby's head born, then the torsion in the neck is relieved, which I explained in the crowning. Torsion or twisting of the neck is relieved. Like here I draw a rough diagram. I explained in the crowning that the baby's head or the occiput comes behind the symphysis pubis, means the head rotates 1/8 of the circle, which leads to torsion in the neck, because the other body, the trunk and the shoulder, remains in oblique position. Only the head is twisting. So only the head is rotating. So after, when the baby's head is born, then the torsion is relieved. How the torsion is relieved? The head again moves backward by 1/8 of the circle. So head is moved back and lies in the same position as that of the trunk or the whole body lies. So the point restitution means there is a relief of torsion in the neck, because the head moves opposite by 1/8 of the circle to lie in the same position as that of the trunk. So the whole body along with the born head lies in the oblique diameter. So after the restitution, the next step is internal rotation of the shoulders and the external rotation of the head. So in previous step we studied that the torsion is removed, that is the twisting in the neck is removed, because the whole body along with the head comes in oblique position. But in this step, the whole body or the shoulders come in anterior posterior diameter by moving 1/8 of the circle. So when there is a internal rotation of the shoulders from the oblique to anterior posterior diameter, simultaneously there is a rotation of head by 1/8, which is visible as the head is born. So here, internal rotation of the shoulders, internal rotation of shoulders, which leads to the change in oblique to anterior posterior diameter So, in the internal rotation of the shoulders rotate by 1/8 of the circle and comes in anterior posterior diameter from the oblique diameter. So, when there is an internal rotation of the shoulders, simultaneously there is a external rotation of head. The head is also rotated by 1/8. So, the head is also comes in anterior posterior diameter from the oblique diameter. So, which means the whole body lies in anterior posterior diameter. So, the whole body lies in anterior posterior diameter. So, this is internal rotation of shoulders, and external rotation of head means the shoulders and the head of the fetus comes in anterior posterior diameter from the oblique diameter. So after the internal rotation of shoulders and the external rotation of head, the whole body comes in anterior posterior diameter, like here. This is a side view. So the whole body lie in anterior posterior diameter. This is a side view. So next step is birth of the shoulders and the trunk by the lateral flexion. So here, what is lateral flexion? So here the lateral flexion occurs. Here the full body is in anterior posterior diameter, and here the lateral flexion occurs. Like the head moves upward. So lateral flexion is like, this is a head of the person. This is a shoulder. So in the lateral flexion, the head is moved towards one side shoulder, that is known as lateral flexion. So when the head is moved toward one side, the pressure arises here. So it puts pressure here. So due to the pressure, the posterior arm is pulled in fetus, like here. When there is a lateral flexion towards anteriorly, so anterior and upwards, sorry, it's downward, like here I write downward and anteriorly. So with the lateral flexion, the posterior shoulder bonds first. This shoulder bonds first, and then the anterior shoulder, which is placed behind the symphysis pubis, is born, and then the whole trunk is born. So I hope you clear with the term lateral flexion. So here the lateral flexion occurs due to which the posterior shoulder pulls. So with the help of lateral flexion, firstly posterior shoulder bone, and then the anterior shoulder and the trunk is born without taking any much time. So there is no any special mechanism needed for the bond of the anterior shoulder and the trunk. So with the help of lateral flexion, the posterior shoulder bonds first, and then then anterior shoulder and the trunk bonds. So that's all about the mechanism of labor. I hope you all are clear with the mechanism of labor. So if you have any kind of query, please ask me in the comment section. I will definitely answer your queries. So at last, stay safe, stay at home. God bless you all. Thank you.